Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to serve as AMO president. It's wonderful to be here in London. Before I begin my remarks, I want to acknowledge that many of our municipal colleagues are fighting dangerous fires in Northwest Territories and British Columbia. They're also dealing with devastating floods in Eastern Ontario and the Maritimes. Our thoughts are with those communities, and our thanks go out to municipal employees who are working to save their communities and other people's communities. In emergencies, municipal governments often share services and rush to help others. That is happening now, and we appreciate all those who are answering the call. I want to thank the speakers who have come before me today. We are already off to a great start. This conference brings people together to make Ontario better. Fundamentally, that is AMO's role for the next 3 days and every other day. AMO brings people together to make Ontario better. And we've been doing that for well over a century. AMO will celebrate its 125th anniversary next year. This year, we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of AMO's first woman president. You heard me correctly. Mary Grant was the president of Ontario Municipal Association in 1922 and 23. She was the clerk treasurer of London Township, which is now Middlesex Centre. And AMO's had a woman president every decade since then, apart from the 1940s. Of course, the most famous woman ever to serve as president is Hazel McCallion. She was elected AMO president in 1978. And it's fair to say that Hazel McCallion was the greatest champion of municipal government that Ontario's ever had. She never stopped fighting for municipal governments, and she never stopped fighting to make Ontario better. I don't think Mayor McCallion ever missed an AMO conference, and she was always to be found in the front row right there. I know she's here in spirit. Please join me in thanking her for a lifetime of service. She was direct, honest, and committed to the public service. Above all, she was always optimistic. Hazel liked to start her sentences off with the expression, "Imagine if." I share Hazel's optimism. Just imagine what we can accomplish in this province if we all work together. Mayor McCallion started her remarkable political career at the age of 55. I'd like to take a moment to recognize everyone who just is starting out. Please raise your hand if this is your first year on municipal council. Please raise them high. Wow. "42% of Ontario Council members were elected for the first time in 2022. We appreciate your service, and I want to thank you with a round of applause as well. Welcome to AMO, but not everybody is going to thank you. You all know that, don't you? All the more reason why we appreciate your service. We are counting on you to imagine what's possible. Our communities are depending on us to all come together like this. They're counting on us to work together to achieve great things together. We all know that we have to work to do, and I believe we all know that Ontario is on the brink of a new chapter. Change is upon us, and we must rise to the occasion. Much of that change is driven by growth. People want to live, work, and invest in Ontario. They need to make sure they succeed. High population growth must be matched by high economic growth. We need to invest in infrastructure that gets us places. We need to invest in infrastructure that gets everybody in Ontario an opportunity to succeed in every part of Ontario. We all know Ontario needs more housing of all kinds for all income levels. In 2021, AMO offered nearly 100 recommendations to get housing built faster and to make housing more affordable. The province chose its own path and is clearly prepared to be accountable for that decision. Minister Clark will be here to speak about his government's ambitious housing targets, and they are ambitious, and they do need to be. I want to be clear. Municipal governments will do everything we can to help Ontario succeed. Municipal governments are equally ambitious. We believe that Ontario can build housing faster. We also believe that a building boom should dovetail with good planning and responsible environmental protection. Growth has to be about more than just more housing. We all know that new homes need to be supported by transit, hospitals, schools, water and wastewater plants, flood management, parks, and all the things that make Ontario a safe, sustainable, productive, and affordable place to live. The affordability crisis in Ontario and everywhere else in the world is not just a housing issue. It is an issue of income stability, food security, and access to economic participation. And the provincial and federal governments are uniquely positioned to make those investments today that will make our communities more affordable, more productive, more sustainable, and more prosperous in the future. Work is underway to shape a new cycle of federal investment in our communities because the federal government knows that investment in your communities is an investment in Canada's future. And the province also knows that investing in your communities is an investment in Ontario's prosperity. And we all know it's not just an investment in physical infrastructure, but social infrastructure as well. We celebrated important social infrastructure investments in the 2023 provincial budget. Specifically, there was a significant investment to address homelessness and mental health. I am optimistic that the province will continue to make additional necessary investments that will build on our ability to create prosperity. Imagine if we can together work to end homelessness in our communities, to tackle the threat of climate change, and to make life in Ontario more affordable, including those most in need. We have invited this government to partner with every community in this province to tackle the problems that threaten the social and economic prosperity of Ontario. This past year has been a challenge, to say the least, but there is much we can do together. Last week, AMO received a letter from Finance Minister Peter Bethenhall indicating a further delay in the long overdue impact reassessment. AMO has urged the government to move forward with reassessment without further delay to safeguard the ability of the system for residential and commercial property taxpayers and for municipalities. I expect a few questions may come up about this at the Ministers' Forum tomorrow. And a few other questions too. Last November, the government made an important commitment to fully offset the financial impacts of Bill 23, and we'll certainly work with them to fulfill that promise. The promise wants audits of 5 municipal governments in the Greater Toronto Area. They are underway, and we have not met a municipal treasurer who does not welcome the opportunity to make sure that our fiscal situation is perfectly understood by policymakers at Queen's Park. Inflation is high, interest rates are growing, and municipalities are the only order of government where revenue does not grow with the economy. We want the government of Ontario to stand on a solid fiscal foundation, and we want to make sure tax dollars are well spent and that public services are delivered good results for all Ontarians. To that end, we should always be asking ourselves which order of government has the capacity to fund key public services and responsibilities. We know the current provincial municipal fiscal framework in Ontario is failing us. It is failing our residents, our small businesses, and our major industries. It needs to be updated for the 21st century. Premier Ford will be here shortly. We have seen that his government is willing to make bold changes, and we anticipate he will be sharing good news this morning. Municipal governments are eager to help. Let's be ambitious. Let's imagine if. Let's work together. Tomorrow's generations are counting on all of us in getting Ontario's next chapter right. That's why we're here today. We have come together so we can work together to make our communities and Ontario a better place. AMO is willing to serve as a place where willing leaders come together to achieve better for Ontario. We have a remarkable program for you over the next 3 days. We have incredible speakers and subject matter experts on subjects that matter most to you. The municipal sector is doing important work to improve representation, to expand engagement, and to bring new voices to conversation. The AMO Conference is a forum for conversation and engagement. It is my great honor to serve as AMO's president. I want to thank my family, AMO staff, and board members for making it possible. I could not do this without their support and the support of my constituents in Ward 1, Milton and Halton. Importantly, I want to thank all of you for being here. Your participation in this conference and AMO makes it all the difference. You are here because you're committed to public service and to the well-being of Ontario's diverse communities. Rest assured that AMO is committed to serving you well. Thank you.